My sister-in-law banned me from the company anniversary. She didn't know I owned 51% shares. The crystal chandeliers of the Grand View Ballroom sparkled overhead as hundreds of employees celebrated TechVision Industries' 25th anniversary. I stood near the entrance, smoothing down my simple black dress, watching my sister-in-law Victoria Chin command the room in her designer gown. Security. Victoria's voice cut through the jazz music as she spotted me. Please escort this woman out. She's not an employee. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me as two security guards approached hesitantly. I recognized them, Marcus and David, who always greeted me warmly at the office. I smiled and pulled out my phone. Should I call the board meeting now? Victoria's perfectly contoured face went white when CEO Harrison Blake rushed over, his face flushed with panic. Miss Rahman, I didn't see you arrive. Please, there must be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Harrison, I said calmly. My sister-in-law just made it clear I'm not welcome here. Victoria laughed nervously. This is Sophia Rahman, my brother's wife. She's a housewife. I don't know why she's here, trying to crash our corporate event. A housewife. I raised an eyebrow. Interesting perspective. Let me back up and explain how we got here. I'm Sophia Rahman, 38, and yes, technically I am married to Victoria's brother Daniel Chin. What Victoria never bothered to learn in her 5 years at TechVision was who actually owned the company. She loved to brag about it. 26 years ago, I was a computer science graduate with big dreams and empty pockets. My immigrant parents had spent everything on my education. I met Benjamin Torres, another broke genius, in a coffee shop where we both nursed single cups of coffee for hours while coding on our laptops. We could build something amazing together, Ben had said, showing me his revolutionary software design. We founded TechVision in my parents' garage with $3,000, my entire savings from tutoring. We agreed on a 51-49 split, with me as majority owner since I provided the initial capital and business framework, while Ben focused on technical development. For 5 years, we worked 18-hour days. I handled business development, client relations, and strategic planning, while Ben led the technical team. When we finally broke through with our enterprise software solution, TechVision exploded. We went from a garage startup to a multi-million-dollar company. Then I met Daniel Chin at a charity gala. He was charming, attentive, and completely uninterested in my career. I love that you're successful, he'd said, but I'm old-fashioned. When we have kids, I'd want you to focus on family. Love makes you do stupid things. I agreed to step back from day-to-day operations when we got married 7 years ago. Ben took over as CEO while I remained majority shareholder and board chair. Though I worked remotely and kept a low profile, Daniel's family never asked about my background. They assumed I was a gold digger who'd gotten lucky marrying their precious son. Victoria was the worst, constantly making snide comments about my simple clothes and lack of ambition. Must be nice, she'd say at family dinners. Sitting at home while Daniel provides everything. I'd bite my tongue, remembering my promise to Daniel to keep my business dealings private. He said it was to protect me from people who'd use me for my wealth. I later realized it was to protect his ego. The marriage lasted 4 years. Daniel's old-fashioned values included a very modern approach to fidelity when I caught him with his secretary. He had the audacity to blame my neglect of him. You're always thinking about that company, he'd accused. A real wife would prioritize her husband. The divorce was swift. Daniel was shocked to discover that my little investments meant he had no claim to any significant assets. The prenup he'd insisted on to protect his family wealth actually protected mine. Victoria got hired at TechVision 3 years ago as director of marketing. Ben had asked my opinion, and I'd agreed. She was qualified. I believed in keeping personal and professional separate. She had no idea about my role, and I kept it that way. But tonight, at our 25th anniversary, watching her pin and pose as if she owned the place while dismissing me as a nobody, something snapped. Miss Chun, Harrison Blake's voice was strained. I think you should apologize to Ms. Rahman immediately. Victoria scoffed. Apologize for removing a gatecrasher? Harrison, I don't care if she's family, this is a corporate event. I started laughing, Real, genuine laughter that made several board members shift nervously.
Ben.
I called out to my co-founder, who was watching from the bar with barely concealed amusement. Remember our first anniversary in the garage? Ben grinned. Pizza and warm beer. You said someday we'd celebrate properly. And here we are, I said, turning to Victoria. 25 years later, though I must admit, I didn't expect to be kicked out of my own party. Your party? Victoria's voice pitched higher. This is TechVision's anniversary. Yes, I agreed. The company I co-founded. The company where I own 51% of the shares. The company where I serve as chairman of the board. The silence was deafening. That's impossible, Victoria stammered. You're nobody. Daniel always said you were just a housewife. A housewife who signed your paychecks, I said quietly. A housewife who approved your hiring. A housewife who, quite frankly, is reconsidering that decision. Harrison cleared his throat. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in private. No, I said firmly. Victoria wanted to make this public. Let's keep it that way. I addressed the room. For those who don't know me, I'm Sophia Rahman. I prefer to work behind the scenes, but I've been with TechVision since day one. Every major decision, every strategic pivot, every acquisition, they all go through me. Victoria's face cycled through emotions: disbelief, anger, fear, and finally desperate calculation. Sophia, I had no idea. This is all a misunderstanding. Families should support each other, right? Interesting perspective, I repeated. Where was that family support during the 5 years you belittled me, called me a gold digger, told everyone at family gatherings that I was wasting my education? I didn't mean. Last month, I continued, you told your mother that I was pathetic for not remarrying after Daniel, that I'd never find another meal ticket like your brother. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Victoria's assistant covered her mouth in shock. But the best part, I smiled coldly, was 2 weeks ago when you submitted a proposal to restructure the marketing department. You specifically noted that the company needed fresh perspectives from real professionals, not outdated consultants. Victoria paled. She'd been pushing to eliminate the advisory board positions, not knowing I held the primary advisory role. How? She whispered. How do I know? I pulled up emails on my phone. Because every proposal crosses my desk. Every single one. Ben stepped forward. Sophia has been the strategic mind behind TechVision's success, while I handled the technical side. She built the business empire. She chose to step back from public view. But make no mistake, this is her company as much as mine. More, I corrected. 51%, remember? The board members, many of whom I'd personally recruited, nodded in acknowledgement. They'd always wondered why the mysterious majority shareholder never attended public events. Now, I said, turning back to Victoria, about your employment here, please. Victoria's arrogance crumbled completely. I need this job. I have a mortgage, car payments. I'm good at what I do. You are, I agreed. Which is why I approved your hiring despite my personal reservations. But your attitude, your treatment of colleagues you deem beneath you, that ends now. I'll change, she promised desperately. I'll do better. Yes, you will, I said. Because effective Monday, you'll be reporting to Janet Williams in our Denver office. Denver. Victoria gasped. But that's a lateral move to a smaller market. It's an opportunity, I corrected, to learn humility, to understand that every person in this company, from the janitor to the CEO, deserves respect. You'll keep your salary, but you'll earn your way back to headquarters. And if I refuse? I shrugged. Then you'll need to find employment elsewhere. Though I should mention I sit on several boards in this industry. My opinion carries weight. The threat was clear. Victoria's shoulders slumped in defeat. I'll take the transfer, she whispered. Excellent. I turned to address the room. I apologize for the drama. This is a celebration of everything we've built together. Please enjoy the party. The music resumed, but the atmosphere had shifted. Employees who'd never seen me before approached cautiously, introducing themselves. Many shared stories of Victoria's condescension, thanking me for addressing it. She made me cry last week. One junior analyst admitted. Said I'd never advance because I went to a state school. She told me I dressed like a secretary. Another added, even though I'm a senior developer. Each story strengthened my resolve. Victoria's transfer wasn't just personal revenge, it was necessary for company culture. Harrison found me later by the windows overlooking the city. That was intense. Overdue, I corrected. I've been monitoring her behavior. The formal complaints were starting to pile up. Why didn't you act sooner? I sighed. Because I hoped she'd grow. Because despite everything, she's family. Because I wanted to believe people could change without drastic measures. And now she gets one last chance. Janet Williams is the best leader we have for rehabilitation projects. If anyone can teach Victoria empathy, it's her. And if she can't, then Victoria will learn that talent without humanity has no place at TechVision. The party continued past midnight. Victoria left early, her designer heels clicking rapidly across the marble floor. I stayed until the end, finally participating in the anniversary I'd helped create. As the cleanup crew worked, Ben found me in the now quiet ballroom. Feel better? Actually, yes, I admitted. I've hidden behind the scenes too long. Going to start coming to the office, maybe. I smiled, though I'd gotten used to working in my pajamas. Ben laughed. The mysterious majority shareholder reveals herself, then goes back into hiding. Not hiding, I corrected. Just choosing my moments. Though I think I'll attend the quarterly meetings in person now, to keep everyone honest. Victoria is going to make your life hell at family gatherings. She already did, I pointed out. At least now she knows who she's dealing with. The next morning, my phone buzzed with messages. The business blogs had picked up the story. Mystery majority shareholder revealed at TechVision anniversary. My inbox flooded with interview requests. I had no intention of accepting. Daniel called furious. You humiliated my sister. She humiliated herself. I replied calmly. I simply introduced myself. You've been lying this whole time, pretending to be some nobody. I never pretended anything. I corrected. You assumed. You all assumed. And I let you because it showed me who you really were. This is why our marriage failed. He spat. You're manipulative. Our marriage failed because you couldn't keep your pants zipped. I reminded him. But sure, blame the successful woman who bruised her ego. I hung up and blocked his number. The Chin family could sort out their own drama. Victoria reported to Denver the following Monday. Janet Williams called me that afternoon. She's a piece of work, Janet said bluntly. She spent the first hour complaining about the injustice of her transfer, and I assigned her to shadow our customer service team for a month. She needs to remember that every role matters. Perfect. She has potential. Sophia, under the arrogance, there's real talent. But someone fed her the wrong messages about success and power. Her family, I said simply. They believe in hierarchy, in stepping on others to climb higher. Well, she's about to learn our way. Lift as you climb, or don't climb at all. 6 months later, I attended the quarterly board meeting in person. Victoria was there, presenting remotely from Denver. Her report was thorough, professional, and notably included praise for her team members by name. The Denver office has exceeded targets by 15%, she reported. This success belongs to everyone, especially our customer service team who provided invaluable market insights. After the meeting, she asked to speak privately. I wanted to apologize, she said simply. Not because you're my boss, but because I was wrong about everything. Apology accepted, I said. How's Denver? Humbling, she admitted, but good. Janet's taught me more in 6 months than I learned in 5 years at headquarters. Ready to come back? She shook her head. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I'm building something good here, real relationships, real respect. That's growth. I acknowledged. I'm proud of you. Her eyes widened in surprise. Really? Really? It takes courage to change, to admit you were wrong, to start over. Sophia, she hesitated. Can I ask you something? I nodded. Why didn't you tell us who you were all those years? Because I wanted to be valued for who I was, not what I owned, I said. Honestly, your brother fell in love with the idea of a simple wife he could control. You all embraced that narrative. It told me everything I needed to know. We were fools, she said quietly. No, I corrected. You were human. But now you know better. Do better. The call ended with a promise to check in monthly. Victoria's transformation wasn't complete, but it was genuine. I returned to my home office, my pajamas and coffee, to the work I'd always loved. The anniversary party had changed things. Employees now knew who I was, and my inbox reflected that awareness. But I'd earned the right to choose my level of engagement. TechVision continued to thrive. We acquired 2 smaller companies, launched a nonprofit coding program for underprivileged youth, and maintained our position as an industry leader. Victoria eventually became our Denver office director, known for her mentorship and inclusive leadership style. At family gatherings, the few I still attended, she was my fiercest defender. You all treated her like nothing, she'd tell relatives who still whispered about me. While she was building an empire, we should be asking for her advice, not gossiping about her divorce. The transformation was remarkable, though not everyone appreciated it. Daniel found new girlfriends to bring to family events, each one younger and more impressed by his middle management position at a bank. He'd glare at me across the room, still bitter about the woman who'd outgrown him. Some people, my mother observed at one gathering, cannot stand to see others shine brighter. His loss, I replied, watching him struggle to explain to his latest girlfriend why his ex-wife's name was on the building across the street. No, my mother corrected, his lesson, one he refuses to learn. The 26th anniversary of TechVision was approaching. This time, I'd attend from the beginning. No drama, no revelations, just celebration. Victoria would fly in from Denver with her team, proud of their achievements. You know, Ben said during our planning meeting that night, this changed everything for the better. Absolutely. Employee satisfaction is up, the toxic elements are gone, and our mysterious majority shareholder isn't so mysterious anymore. Still mysterious, I argued, just selectively visible. He laughed. Fair enough. But Sophia, next time someone tries to kick you out of your own party, yes, maybe lead with the ownership thing. I grinned. Where's the fun in that? The truth is, that night at the anniversary party taught me something valuable. Hiding your light doesn't protect you. It just lets others cast shadows. Victoria learned that power without compassion is hollow. I learned that strength shown wisely is not arrogance but necessity. TechVision thrived, not despite the drama, but because we faced it head-on. We cleaned house, set standards, and proved that success didn't require stepping on others. And me? I remained the majority shareholder who worked in pajamas, attended selective meetings, and smiled every time someone underestimated the quiet woman in the simple black dress. Because the best power, it's the kind they never see coming.